If you'd told me 6 months ago that my marriage would fall apart because of a phone lying on a table, I would have laughed and asked if you were writing sitcom scripts for a living. Now I fully believe that one misplaced iPhone can apparently trigger a psychological apocalypse. Nicole and I had been together a little over 6 years. Not newlyweds, not an old married couple either. Somewhere in the we still like each other, but also argue about dishwasher loading patterns stage. Our relationship, up until everything exploded, was normal, peaceful, predictable in a good way. I'm a pretty straightforward guy, calm, logical, not prone to shouting or dramatic door slamming. I don't do mess. Nicole, my wife, is, let's say, expressive. If emotions were weather, she'd be tropical storms with occasional sunny mornings. I always thought it was cute, fun. Life with her felt lively, until the day she looked at me like I'd murdered someone. It started on a Tuesday, just an ordinary Tuesday where I sat down at the dining table, put my phone down, screen up like a normal person, and opened my laptop. Nicole glanced at the phone, then at me, then at the phone again. Her eyes narrowed in a way that felt cinematic. "Why are you hiding your phone?" she asked. I blinked. Several times. It's possible I looked like a Windows loading screen. "Hiding?" I said. "Nicole, it's literally lying there like it pays rent." She crossed her arms, tilted her head, and delivered a line worthy of an award. "People don't just put their phones like that unless they're hiding something." I stared at the phone again. It was glowing, unlocked, friendly. If it had hands, it would have waved. "Nicole," I said slowly, "if I wanted to hide something, I would not place the object in question directly in your field of vision." That's what a guilty person would say. Nicole, guilty people say a lot of things. Barely any of them are this logical. She shook her head with the kind of confidence you only get after watching too many detective shows. "Your calmness is suspicious." I opened my mouth, closed it, opened it again. "Wait, I'm suspicious because I'm calm?" "Yes," she said decisively. "A man who has nothing to hide wouldn't need to act calm." "I'm calm because I am calm," I said. "This isn't acting. This is just my personality existing." "Exactly." And don't ask me how, but somehow she thought she just won the argument. That should have been the first red flag, but I didn't panic. I thought she was tired, stressed, hormonal, or maybe Mercury was in retrograde and punching her zodiac sign in the face. Whatever. I let it go. Over the next few days, Nicole transformed from my wife into a one-woman FBI task force. No badge, just vibes. One morning I was making coffee when she leaned in and sniffed me like a police dog at airport security. I actually froze mid-pour. "What are you doing?" I asked carefully. "You smell like perfume." "It's detergent," I answered. "Same detergent we've used for 3 years. She narrowed her eyes. "Or maybe you hugged someone." "Yeah," I said. "The washing machine. She and I are having a wild affair." "Don't be sarcastic." "Nicole, I have so little going on socially that if I hugged someone, you would hear about it because it would be the highlight of my week." She wasn't amused. A couple days later, she started checking my pockets when I got home. At first subtly, then not subtly at all. I walked through the door and she just dove in like she was sorting laundry. "Nicole? What the hell?" "Just checking." "For what? A spare girlfriend?" She gave me a deadly serious look. "If I find one, we're going to have a conversation." I laughed. She didn't. One evening she stopped me at the door, looked me up and down and said, "Why are you coming home looking smug?" "This is just my face," I said. "I've worn it for 30 years. "Well," she snapped, "it's smug." At this point, I started feeling like I was on some hidden camera show. The worst part? She started telling her friends. We were at our friend Mark's barbecue, just grilling burgers and pretending to be adults, when one of Nicole's girlfriends approached me with an expression usually reserved for criminals in documentaries. She lowered her voice and said, "Just don't hurt her, okay?" I blinked at her. "Hurt her? I made her pancakes this morning." "Sometimes pancakes hide darker intentions," she whispered like she was revealing a government secret. I put down my beer. I'm leaving before this conversation damages my brain. But the absolute insanity started when Nicole began bursting into the bathroom while I showered. The first time it happened, she swung the door open like she was raiding a cartel hideout. "Who are you texting?" Steam everywhere, shampoo in my eyes. I was practically blind. "Nicole," I said, "I'm naked, in the shower. Texting is physically impossible right now." "You're being defensive." "No, I am being wet." "You're hiding something." "Nicole, the only thing I'm hiding is myself behind this shower curtain." She marched out triumphantly, as if she discovered something meaningful. Talking to her became a loop from hell. "Nicole, why do you think I'm cheating? If you were innocent, you wouldn't ask that question. I'm asking because you're accusing me. That's exactly what a cheater would say. Nicole, that's also what an innocent person would say. Convenient." The irony of the whole situation? Her phone had suddenly become more protected than nuclear launch codes. Always screen down, notifications hidden, new passcode every week. Takes it with her everywhere. Bedroom, shower, even to take out the trash. One evening I said, "You know, it's kind of funny how—" "Don't," she snapped immediately. "Don't try to turn this around on me." I wasn't. That's exactly what you'd say if you were trying to turn this around. I stared at her for a full 5 seconds. "I think your brain did a somersault and landed wrong," she gasped. "Wow, gaslighting me now? You're accusing my deodorant of cheating on you at this point." But nothing helped. Every explanation, every joke, every calm conversation only added fuel to whatever conspiracy she'd created in her head. Meanwhile, I lay awake some nights staring at the ceiling thinking, if being innocent feels this insane, I can't imagine what actual cheaters experience. They must be exhausted. But I didn't know yet that the universe was warming up for the plot twist of the decade. The longer Nicole kept up her new FBI in a romantic comedy personality, the more I realized I was living with someone who had fully committed to a fantasy that I didn't even audition for. At first it was annoying, then it became absurd, and finally, impressive. Because honestly, the dedication was Olympic. One evening, I came home from work, set my keys on the counter, and before I even took off my shoes, she asked, "Why are you home at 5:42? You usually get home at 5:39. I stared at her. 3 minutes? She folded her arms. A lot can happen in 3 minutes. Nicole, the only thing that happened was I hit a red light and questioned my life choices. You're being sarcastic again. I am. Because you're acting like I'm living a double life in the suburbs. She stepped closer, squinting like she was studying my aura. You look different. Different how? I don't know. Guilty. So, my face again. Your energy, she corrected. Fantastic, I said. Now I'm being accused by solar panels. But the paranoia didn't slow down. Oh no. It started sprinting. A few nights later, I was in the living room, just sitting on the couch scrolling the most boring news possible. The economy, sports results, a cat that looked like a loaf of bread. Nicole walked in, saw the glow of my screen, and froze like she'd caught me summoning demons. Who are you texting? She demanded. Nobody, I said. I'm reading an article. Let me see. Oh, I'm sorry, I said. Are we doing phone inspections now? Should I line it up next to the apples on the counter? Stop joking. If you weren't hiding something, you'd show me. I sighed, turned the screen toward her. An article literally titled, The 7 Most Boring Industries of 2025. She stared at it for a long second, blinked and said, could be a cover. I put the phone down. Nicole, unless I'm cheating with an accountant who works in agricultural machinery financing, I think I'm safe. She stormed off. Another time, I was shaving. Just shaving. Normal human activity. Nicole walked in, eyes narrowed, and said, You're taking longer than usual. I have a face, I said. It takes time to shave. Or maybe you're getting ready for someone. Yes, I said dryly. The celebrity guest in our bathroom mirror. You're deflecting. I'm trying to keep my sanity. But the bathroom scenes didn't stop with suspicious shaving. No, she upgraded. One Saturday morning, I stepped into the shower, enjoying the rare moment of peace and warm water, when the door slammed open. She marched in like a detective who had just followed a clue directly into my shampoo bottle. "Who are you talking to?" I nearly fell. "Nicole, I'm showering." You paused before you said that. I slipped. Suspicious. I wiped soap from my eyes and looked at her like she'd lost her mind. "I have no phone, no hands-free. I'm not conducting business calls in here." "Business calls?" she repeated. "Wow. Oh my God. You got loud," she said triumphantly. "Guilty men get loud. No, people who are accused of talking to imaginary women in the shower get loud." But the funniest part? She was the one glued to her phone 24/7. She now typed with her screen tilted away like she was entering a secret password into a bank vault. The moment I walked into a room, she'd flip her phone face down at Mach speed. Her notifications were hidden. She even started using one of those ultra-secure lock screens that require, like, retinas, fingerprints, and a moral purity certificate. One time I joked, "Should I start calling your phone Fort Knox?" She snapped, "Don't try to turn things around." "Turn what around? The way your phone vibrates like it's trying to escape the table? It's work. You're a graphic designer. What emergency branding situation is happening at 10:47 p.m.? She glared. "You're acting jealous." "I'm acting observant," she scoffed. "You think you're so clever?" "No, I think I'm exhausted." Of course, all my attempts at logical conversation kept failing. Logic didn't work. Calmness didn't work. Humor didn't work. I even tried silence, which, according to Nicole, was the scariest sign of all. One night during dinner, I finally asked directly, "Nicole, what exactly do you think is happening here?" She lowered her fork dramatically. "If you were innocent, you wouldn't ask." "I asked," I said, "because I genuinely have no idea what this plotline is." "That's exactly what cheaters say." I rubbed my face. "Nicole, your logic is like a circle that fell over and hit its head." She gasped like I'd committed blasphemy. "You're gaslighting me." "Nicole, I'm trying to light any form of clarity here." But clarity had left the chat. And then came the grand finale of Act 2, the part where she started publicly building her fantasy and dragging everyone around us into it. One evening, we had a small dinner with two couples we're close with. Pretty chill night. Wine, board games, mild gossip about people we pretend not to judge. I hadn't even done or said anything suspicious, unless winning at charades is a crime. Which, to be fair, Nicole treated like one. Suddenly, during dessert, she looked at me and said, in front of everybody, "You know, I'm not stupid. I know something's going on with you." I froze mid-bite. Our friends froze mid-chew. "What?" I said. "You think I don't see it? The distance? The attitude? The hiding?" "Hiding what?" I asked calmly. "Don't do this fake calm thing," she snapped. "It's insulting." I set down my fork. "Nicole, we're eating cheesecake. Where exactly do you think I'm hiding another woman? Under the table?" "Maybe outside," she muttered. "Waiting in the bushes?" I said. "Should I check?" "Maybe she fell asleep in the shrubbery." One of our friends choked on his drink. Nicole ignored that entirely. "You're different lately. I can feel it." "Nicole," I said slowly, "you've accused me of cheating because I shaved, because I showered, because I came home at 5:42 instead of 5:39, because I smelled like detergent, and because my face looked smug. I don't know what part of that feels like reality to you." Her voice rose. "See? You're trying to make me sound crazy." I held out my hands. "If you want to sound normal, you have to say normal things." Silence fell. Heavy. Awkward. Dessert ruining. And that's when I knew something was coming. A moment. A reveal. A twist strong enough to break the spell. The night everything cracked open started like any other harmless get-together. A few friends invited us over for what they called a casual evening, which always means someone is bringing expensive wine to pretend they know things about tannins. Nicole got ready like she was preparing for a red carpet. Full makeup, hair curled, dress that made her look amazing. And yes, obviously, I complimented her. "You look great," I said. She stared at me like I'd confessed to a crime. Why are you saying it like that? Like what? Like you're distracting me from something. I blinked. Nicole, you literally asked me how you looked. She narrowed her eyes. Convenient. And with that level of logic, we left the house. The moment we arrived, she went straight to the wine bottle, poured herself a glass that could drown a small plant, and immediately started talking loudly. The kind of loud where you know a monologue is coming. Everything was normal for the first hour. People laughed. Someone put on music. One couple argued quietly about who forgot to buy hummus. Nicole was buzzing, and not in the fun, flirty, my wife is tipsy and cute way. More like, someone gave her a microphone and bad intentions. Every time I spoke, she glared at me like I'd insulted her ancestors. Then it happened. We were all sitting around the living room. I was mid-sip of my drink when Nicole suddenly turned to the group and said, loud and dramatic, "You guys know what the funniest part is? He thinks I don't know about his little secrets." I froze. Everyone else did too, like the Wi-Fi had gone out and no one knew what to do. I set my drink down slowly. "Nicole, what are you talking about?" "Oh, please," she said, waving her hand. "Don't do that innocent voice. It's pathetic." I raised an eyebrow. "Nicole, I'm literally drinking ginger ale. I don't even have the energy for an affair." People laughed uncomfortably, but she wasn't done. She wanted a scene. She wanted a whole season finale. She leaned back dramatically and added, "You'd all be shocked if you knew what he's been up to." Our friend Dave, the quiet one in the group, the guy who normally only talks about sports and how much he hates his job, suddenly looked up. He stared at Nicole with an expression I'd never seen on him before. Half anger, half, "I warned myself to stay out of this, but I can't anymore." He took a slow breath and said, "You seriously want to go there?" Nicole went stiff. Her face shifted, like she didn't understand why he was talking. "What?" she snapped. Dave kept his eyes on her. "You want to talk about secrets? Yours?" The room tensed like a rubber band. Nicole let out a fake laugh. "Oh, please. Don't try to defend him." Dave didn't blink. "How about you tell him about your coworker?" Silence. Real silence. Not awkward silence. The kind of silence where the air gets heavy and your brain goes, "Oh, that's what's happening." Nicole's face drained of color so fast it looked like someone unplugged her. She stared at Dave, then at me, then back at Dave. "I don't know what you think you know," she said quietly. Dave sighed. The kind of sigh men only do when they've been holding in something for too long. "I know enough to say this," he said. "You shouldn't be accusing anyone here." "Stop," Nicole whispered, but he didn't. "Seriously," he continued, "you want to do this in front of everyone? Fine. Tell him about your coworker. Tell him how you two—" "Stop!" she shouted suddenly. Everyone jumped. Nicole clutched her wine glass like it was her emotional support animal. It's not what you think," she stammered. "It wasn't serious. We were just talking." The room collectively raised its eyebrows. Talking? Right. Classic. Her friend Lisa, who normally defends all wives just out of gender loyalty, frowned and said, "Nicole? Talking? Really?" Nicole turned to her, desperate. "Yes, we just talked." Lisa didn't even hesitate. "Talking? Is that what you call kissing in his car?" Nicole's mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. Nothing came out. She looked like a fish realizing it has to start paying rent. "Lisa," she whispered, "why would you—" "Because I was there," Lisa snapped. "You made me swear to say nothing." My heart dropped. Not because I was devastated, but because everything suddenly made sense. All the accusations, all the paranoia, all the bathroom interrogations, all the "why are you so calm?" All the "you smell different," all the "give me your phone." She wasn't paranoid. She was projecting. Nicole suddenly stood up, hands shaking. "I need some air," she said, and bolted out the back door. No one stopped her. Everyone just stared at me like I'd been hit by a train. Mark, the host, cleared his throat. "Dude, I'm so sorry." I shrugged. "Honestly?" This is the least shocking thing tonight. Dave leaned forward. I didn't want to say anything, but you didn't deserve any of the crap she's been putting you through. I nodded slowly, letting everything sink in. Everything she accused me of, she'd been doing herself. And suddenly, I didn't feel crazy anymore. I felt strangely calm, cold, clear. The kind of clarity you get when a puzzle finally clicks. But the night wasn't over, because I still had to go home. Driving home that night felt like watching the end credits of a movie I didn't realize I'd been starring in. My brain wasn't racing. It wasn't spiraling. It wasn't even angry. I was just quiet, calm in a way that felt almost wrong. It's insane how months of being accused, interrogated, cornered, and treated like a walking lie can numb you. By the time the truth hits, you don't explode. You just go still. I parked the car, walked inside, and found Nicole sitting on the edge of the bed like she was posing for a dramatic painting. Makeup smudged, hair messy, breathing uneven. She looked up at me with big, watery eyes, the exact expression of someone who wants sympathy before an explanation. I took a breath. All right, I said. Let's talk. Her lip trembled like she was auditioning for a tragic role. I know how it looks, she whispered. Well, I said, it looks like you've been cheating on me while accusing me of cheating on you. Her eyes widened. You're already twisting things. Nicole, I said, raising my hand, you kissed a guy in his car. That's not exactly interpretive dance. Pretty straightforward. She stood up like she wanted to make a point, but forgot what the point was. It meant nothing, she finally burst out. Great, I said. Then it should be easy to explain. I was lonely, she shouted. I live in this same house, I said. We have the same address. If you were lonely, you could have turned right into the living room instead of left into your coworker's Honda. She flinched. That's not fair. Nicole, neither was being interrogated in the shower. Her eyes filled with tears, not the quiet, sad kind. The dramatic, I'm the victim in this scene type. I didn't plan it, she said. Good, I said. I'd be more offended if you'd scheduled it in Google Calendar. She took a shaky breath. You weren't there for me. I wasn't. Where? I said. In the parking lot of your office at 10 p.m.? Yeah, that was intentional. She stomped her foot. Actually stomped. I felt ignored. Nicole, I made you breakfast 3 times last week. You accused the pancakes of having an agenda. That was one comment. You said the syrup smelled like another woman. It did. I stared at her. I bought it at Costco. She put her hands over her face. You don't understand. Try me. She dropped her hands and pointed at me dramatically. You've been so calm, like nothing bothers you, like nothing affects you. It made me feel like you didn't care about us. I let out a slow exhale. So, you cheated because I didn't fight with you enough? She hated that phrasing. She paced the room like she was rehearsing excuses. I was confused. I was stressed. I was emotional. I didn't know what I was doing. Nicole, I said, stepping closer. Look at me. She didn't. Nicole, I repeated, my voice sharp. How long? Her mouth trembled. Her fingers twisted the hem of her dress. 3 months, she whispered. There it was. The truth she'd buried under all those accusations and tantrums. 3 months of projecting. 3 months of paranoia. 3 months of turning me into the villain because she was afraid of being the villain herself. My reaction wasn't dramatic. I didn't yell. I didn't break anything. I didn't give her the screaming match she probably expected. I just nodded. All right, I said calmly. She blinked. That's it? That's all you have to say? For now, I said. I'm thinking. Her eyes widened in panic. Thinking about what? What I'm doing next. She stepped forward, grabbing my arm. No, baby, wait. We can fix this. We can talk through it, right? I told you it meant nothing. I gently removed her hand. You spent 3 months accusing me of doing something you were actually doing, I said quietly. Every time I tried to talk, you flipped it on me. You made me feel insane. I know, she sobbed. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It was a mistake, a huge mistake. But it doesn't have to ruin everything. That's not your decision to make. Please, she cried. Please don't do anything stupid. I looked at her. Nicole, I said, walking away from someone who lied, cheated, and blamed me for it is the least stupid thing I could do. She covered her face again, shoulders shaking. You can't just leave, she whispered. You can't throw away our marriage because of one mistake. I stared at her for a long moment. One mistake? I repeated quietly. You didn't just cheat, Nicole. You ran a psychological marathon on me while you did it. She dropped onto the bed, sobbing louder now. Her excuses were melting. Her confidence was gone. All that was left was fear. Fear of consequences. Fear of losing control. Fear of losing the narrative she created. I felt none of that. Just clarity. Cold, peaceful clarity. The kind that usually comes right before a decision. And I'd already made mine. The thing people don't tell you about clarity is that it never arrives during the argument. It shows up after. Quiet, sharp, unapologetic. When Nicole finished crying into her hands, I just stood there for a moment, letting the silence settle. It wasn't angry silence. Not even hurt silence. Just final. I walked to the closet and pulled out a duffel bag. The sound of the zipper nearly made her jump off the bed. No, what are you doing? She asked, her voice cracking. Packing, I said simply. For what? She demanded, as if the answer wasn't obvious. For leaving. She shot up from the bed. You're kidding. You're not seriously walking out because of one mistake. I turned my head slightly. Nicole, please don't cheapen the situation with bad math. She wiped her face aggressively. We can fix this. We can talk to a therapist. We can, I don't know, take a trip, reconnect, do something. Nicole, I said, folding a shirt with surgical calmness. You spent months interrogating me for things you were doing behind my back. I didn't cheat, but you punished me as if I had, repeatedly. She shook her head violently. I said I was sorry. You said a lot of things, I replied. Most of them were accusations. She grabbed my wrist. I love you. I gently removed her hand again. Nicole, love isn't the same thing as possession. You didn't trust me. You didn't respect me. You didn't even listen to me. She took a shaky breath. I was scared. That's not an excuse, I said. Fear doesn't give you permission to destroy someone's peace. She sank onto the bed again, staring at me like I was slipping away through her fingers. Which, frankly, I was. Please, she whispered. Don't leave like this. We can rebuild. I zipped the bag shut. No, I said quietly. You need to rebuild. I need to leave. She stood up again, desperate now. But you can't just walk away after everything we've been through. I looked her straight in the eyes. Nicole, I said, you cheated on me for 3 months, but you checked to see if I was cheating. She swallowed hard. Her face crumpled. She knew exactly what that meant. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I didn't mean to. I thought if I blamed you first, you wouldn't look at me too closely. That's the kind of logic, I said, that gets people banned from escape rooms. She gave a weak, broken laugh that immediately turned into another sob. I slung the duffel bag over my shoulder and headed to the door. Where will you go? She choked. Away from here, I said simply. And then what? She asked, stepping toward me. Then? I shrugged. I'll sleep, relax, rebuild my sanity. Maybe buy syrup that isn't cheating on you. Even she cracked a tiny, pathetic smile through tears. You're still making jokes? I have to, I said. It keeps me from screaming. She reached out like she wanted to touch me, but stopped halfway, like her hand hit an invisible wall. Will you ever come back? She whispered. I paused at the doorway. I don't know, I said. But I know one thing. She looked up, hopeful. What? I'm not coming back to the version of you who made me doubt my own reality. Her knees nearly buckled. Goodbye, Nicole. I stepped out, closed the door behind me. No dramatic slam, no yelling, no last-minute speeches. Just a quiet click. The quietest sound I'd heard in months. Outside, the air felt colder, sharper, like a window had been opened after being sealed too long. I took a deep breath and felt something that had been missing for a long time. Peace. Not happiness, not triumph, not relief, just peace. And that was enough. Later, she sent long messages, pages of apologies, voice notes full of sobbing, bargaining, blaming herself, blaming circumstances, begging, promising more, promising everything. Then came the "I can't live without you" texts. Then the angry ones. Then the quiet ones. I didn't block her. I didn't respond either. Sometimes silence is the kindest answer you can give when words would only make things worse. 3 weeks after I walked out, I filed for divorce. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, just closure. A strange kind of calm settled in once the papers were submitted. The kind of calm you feel after finally cleaning a room you've been avoiding for months. Heavy, but refreshing. When Nicole got the envelope, she called me. I didn't pick up. Then she sent a picture of the documents with a message. "Are you really doing this?" I typed back, "Yes." A few minutes later, another message. "We can still fix us." I stared at the screen for a long moment, then wrote, "There is no us to fix." She tried everything after that. Apologies, promises, nostalgia, anger, guilt, bargaining, the entire emotional alphabet. But the truth stayed the same. I left not only because she cheated, I left because she let her guilt rot everything between us until nothing was left to save. A month after filing, I moved into a small apartment downtown. Nothing fancy, just quiet. The kind of quiet that doesn't accuse you of smelling like someone else's perfume. I started running again. Picked up guitar lessons I'd been putting off for years. Reconnected with friends I lost somewhere in the chaos. I slept without stress dreams for the first time in ages. One morning, I got a message from Nicole. "I'm sorry for everything. I hope you find someone who treats you the way you deserved." It was the first honest thing she'd said in months. I replied, "I hope you heal." That was it. No bitterness, no drama. Just two people finally stepping out of a storm that one of them created. The divorce was finalized quietly, without courtroom theatrics. She didn't fight it. Maybe she was tired too. Maybe she finally understood. Maybe both. On the way out of the courthouse, I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel broken. I felt free. And as I drove away, with the windows down and the sun finally hitting my face, one thought settled in crystal clear. Sometimes the hardest thing isn't leaving. It's realizing you should have left the moment someone made you doubt your own sanity. But I left, and I didn't look back. If you felt this story hit hard, drop a like, subscribe for more, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps Steelheart beating.